The story begins on a flight where Jessica, a white woman, openly expresses her racial prejudice toward a young black boy sitting next to her in first class. "Get away! I can't sit next to you. You don't belong on this flight," she shouts. Turning away from the boy, she pulls out her phone and calls her friend, saying, "You won't believe who they seated me next to. The standards have really dropped in first class these days. There's literally a black kid beside me, and not even a well-dressed one. I booked first class to avoid certain elements, and now it feels like I'm babysitting a monkey at these prices. I will make sure to annoy him all flight long." Unbeknownst to her, Jessica is making a grave mistake. She has no idea that her actions are being observed, and she soon finds herself trapped in a situation with consequences she never anticipated, all unfolding in front of a plane full of witnesses, many of whom are already recording her behavior on their smartphones. If you believe in standing against discrimination, and that everyone deserves to be treated with respect, consider subscribing to our channel and leave a comment below with the word equality. The stage is set for a dramatic encounter that will highlight the impact of prejudice and the power of accountability. 3 hours earlier, at LaGuardia Airport, an 8-year-old boy named Jordan Reynolds was about to face the most challenging flight of his young life. The busy Terminal B buzzed with the usual Friday afternoon chaos, and among the sea of hurried travelers stood Jordan, his wide eyes filled with wonder as he gazed at the massive departures board above. Unlike most kids his age, Jordan was the son of a billionaire hotel magnate, and he carried himself with a quiet dignity that belied his years. Dressed in a simple blue button-down shirt and khaki pants, he embodied the values his father instilled in him. Character speaks louder than clothing. Beside him was his nanny Laura, who checked her watch anxiously. "Your dad is running a bit late, but he texted that he'll definitely make it before boarding closes," she reassured him. Jordan nodded confidently, reciting the items he had packed for the flight: his favorite book about space, a drawing pad, headphones, and special spill-proof juice boxes. It was a reward for his excellent grades, and he was excited to experience the luxury of first class, a treat he understood was tied to his hard work and dedication. As they made their way to the exclusive first-class lounge, Jordan's nanny, Laura, received an urgent message that made her face fall. "Jordan, I'm so sorry, but my sister has been in a serious accident and needs me at the hospital right away," she explained, her voice laced with worry. Jordan's eyes widened with concern. "Is she going to be okay?" "I hope so, but I really need to go now," Laura replied, her expression torn between duty and care. "Your dad will be here soon. Can you wait alone until he arrives?" Summoning his most grown-up voice, Jordan assured her, "It's okay, Laura. I've flown with Dad lots of times. I'll be fine." After a quick call to confirm his father was on his way, Laura reluctantly left, leaving Jordan in the lounge with his book about the solar system already open in his lap. For the first 30 minutes, everything went smoothly. Jordan immersed himself in his book, occasionally glancing out the large windows at the planes taking off. The lounge staff, recognizing him as a Reynolds, checked on him discreetly while allowing him to enjoy his space. Little did he know that his peaceful wait was about to be disrupted. The tranquility of the lounge was shattered when Emily Carter entered. She was the antithesis of Jordan, loud, demanding, and fixated on appearances. Dressed in an expensive designer suit, her hair pulled back in a severe bun, Emily was the senior vice president of marketing for a competing hotel chain. Used to getting exactly what she wanted, she surveyed the lounge with sharp eyes, landing on Jordan, the only child present. Her lips curled in disdain as she approached the check-in desk. "Is that child really flying first class?" she questioned, her tone dripping with disbelief. The gate agent glanced over at Jordan, who was trying to shrink behind his book, pretending not to hear. "Yes, ma'am. He has a valid first-class ticket," the agent replied calmly. Emily's eyebrows shot up in surprise. "Really? And he's what, 8? She scoffed, her voice loud enough for both Jordan and the agent to hear. "They're letting anyone in these days," she muttered, causing Jordan's small shoulders to tense. He kept his gaze fixed on his book, remembering what his father had told him about people who project their own insecurities onto others. Emily took a seat at the far end of the lounge, sending frequent glances toward Jordan, as if his mere presence sullied the exclusive space. When the pre-boarding announcement for their flight to San Francisco rang out, Emily gathered her belongings with sharp, irritated movements. Meanwhile, Jordan texted his father, "We're boarding now. How close are you?" The response came quickly. "Traffic is terrible. Go ahead and board. Save our seats. I'll make it before the doors close. Love you, champ." As Jordan approached the gate with his first-class ticket in hand, he found himself standing directly behind Emily in the priority boarding line. He could feel her eyes scrutinizing him, judging him as if his very presence was an affront. The gate agent greeted him warmly. "Welcome aboard, Mr. Reynolds. Enjoy your flight." Jordan stepped into the gleaming first-class cabin, feeling the familiar magic of the spacious seating and soft lighting. His seat, 3A, was a window spot with a perfect view of the wing. He settled in, placing his backpack carefully under the seat in front of him. Buckling his seatbelt, he pulled out his book about space exploration, dreaming of becoming an astronaut one day. However, his moment of peace was short-lived as Emily abruptly halted in the aisle beside him, realizing she would be sitting next to the child she had just belittled in the lounge. Emily froze as she realized that her seat assignment placed her next to Jordan, the boy she had just disparaged. "Excuse me," she called out sharply to a passing flight attendant, whose name tag read Tasha. "There must be a mistake with my seating arrangement." Tasha approached with a polite smile, ready to assist. "How can I help you, Mom?" Emily lowered her voice, but not enough to prevent Jordan from hearing every word. "I didn't pay $3,000 for a first-class ticket to sit next to a child," she stated, glancing dismissively at Jordan, "especially not a black one." Her implication was clear, and Tasha's expression hardened at the blatant prejudice. "I understand your concern, Mom, but I'm afraid the flight is completely full today. We have no other available seats in first class." Tasha replied firmly, maintaining her professionalism. Emily's face flushed with anger as she glanced at her watch, realizing she was running out of time. Reluctantly, she slid into seat 3B, her body language radiating hostility. She pressed against the armrest, trying to distance herself from Jordan, who sat quietly, absorbing the tension in the air. As the cabin filled with passengers, Jordan turned to Emily with a polite smile. "Hello, I'm Jordan." However, Emily merely stared at him, her contempt evident, as the atmosphere grew increasingly charged with discomfort. As the flight attendants moved through the cabin, offering pre-departure beverages, Jordan remained calm, hoping to make the best of the situation. Tasha approached their row with a warm smile. "Would you like some apple juice, young man?" she asked kindly. "Yes, please." "Thank you," Jordan replied, his voice steady. But before he could enjoy his drink, Emily, still wearing her expensive noise-canceling headphones, interrupted. "Make sure he doesn't spill it. I'm wearing designer," she snapped, her tone dripping with disdain. Tasha shot Jordan a sympathetic glance as she handed him the juice in a spill-resistant cup. "I'm sure he'll be careful. He seems very responsible," she said, subtly defending him. As Jordan took a sip, he received a text from his father, letting him know he was still stuck in traffic. Jordan's heart sank a little. He was hoping for his dad's presence to ease the tension. Meanwhile, Emily continued to fidget impatiently, checking her watch and tapping her foot. Her irritation was palpable, and Jordan could feel her hostility radiating towards him. He focused on his book, trying to block out the negativity, but the atmosphere in the cabin was undeniably charged, setting the stage for an impending confrontation. About 45 minutes into the flight, an announcement came over the intercom warning of expected turbulence, and the seatbelt sign illuminated. Emily had just left for the restroom, leaving Jordan alone in their row. He remained buckled in, anxiously glancing toward the front of the cabin, hoping to see his father arrive soon. As the plane hit a patch of rough air, Jordan's juice cup tipped slightly, and a few drops spilled onto his tray. He quickly wiped it up, but when Emily returned, her sharp eyes caught the small mess. "What is this?" she exclaimed, her voice rising.
"Keep your things on your side,"
she snapped, shoving Jordan's book and backpack roughly back toward him. As the book fell to the floor, Jordan picked it up, his heart racing. "I'm sorry," he murmured, trying to maintain his composure despite the humiliation. Emily leaned closer, her voice a venomous whisper. Your parents clearly didn't teach you manners. Typical, she said, the word hanging heavily in the air, filled with disdain. Jordan's hands trembled as he straightened the pages of his book, the sting of her words cutting deep. Passengers around them began to notice, exchanging worried glances, but no one intervened, creating an uncomfortable silence that enveloped them all. Suddenly, a commotion erupted at the front of the plane as the cabin door swung open, allowing a figure to enter. Marcus Reynolds, impeccably dressed in a tailored suit, was escorted on board by a flight attendant. His commanding presence immediately drew the attention of several passengers, but Jordan remained trapped in his own private nightmare, unaware of the relief that was about to wash over him. "Thank you for holding the flight, Captain," Marcus said, his deep voice resonating with authority. He scanned the cabin, searching for his son. When his gaze landed on Jordan, the tension visibly eased from his shoulders. However, he quickly noticed the boy's rigid posture and the discomfort etched on his face. Marcus took his seat directly behind Jordan and Emily, unaware of the situation that had unfolded in his absence. He pulled out his tablet, preparing to catch up on emails, but the atmosphere in the cabin had shifted. As the plane began to stabilize after the turbulence, Marcus noticed Jordan's downcast expression and the anxious way he was gripping his book. Something was clearly wrong, and he instinctively felt a protective instinct rise within him. The stage was set for a confrontation that would change everything. Once the plane reached cruising altitude, the seatbelt sign was turned off, and the flight attendants resumed their service. Tasha approached their row again, asking Jordan if he wanted apple juice, while Emily ordered a sparkling water, demanding it be served in a proper glass. Just as the drinks were delivered, the plane hit another patch of turbulence. Jordan, trying to be careful, placed his juice on the tray table, but the sudden jolt caused it to topple. Most of it splashed onto his own lap, but a few drops landed on Emily's designer suit. Jordan's heart raced as he quickly held out his napkin.
"I'm so sorry, Mom."
The turbulence made it spill. "Please use my napkin." However, Emily's reaction was explosive. "This is a $5,000 suit," she screamed, her face contorting with rage. "Do you have any idea what you've done? People like you don't understand the value of things." Jordan's hand trembled as he withdrew the napkin, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. Before he could respond, Emily raised her hand and slapped him hard across the face. The sound echoed through the cabin, and gasps filled the air as passengers turned to witness the shocking scene. In the row behind them, Marcus slowly removed his headphones, disbelief etched on his face as he processed what had just happened.